Welcome, this is Carrie Schell from On Point Quilter. December 1st starts the beginning of the Advent season, and I have created an Advent quilt which will allow you to create a Christmas-related design for 25 days in EQ. Now in this tutorial, I'm going to explain to you how to create the tree block and quilt. And then for those next 25 days, I will be offering a challenge for a replacement block for each of the stars in the tree quilt. Now you do not have to draft each of the replacement blocks. Feel free to use blocks in the EQ library or create one of your own. I have opened Electric Quilt, and so I'm going to select New Project, and I'm going to call this one Advent Quilt, and I will select OK. And I'm going to start by creating the tree block, and so I'm going to design a block from scratch, and I'm going to go to the Draw tab. I'll change the width and the height to 10 by 15. Now, I spent a lot of time playing to find out the size that I needed to fit 25 ornaments on the tree, and this size worked. And so I'm going to do snaps of 20 by 30. I'm going to turn the graph paper on and have that set at 20 by 30 as well. And for snapping options, only snap to grid. I am going to start by drawing a horizontal line every 1.5 inches, and that will give me 10 divisions for the block. And then I'm going to start by drawing the tree trunk, which will be at 4.5 and 5.5. And then I'm going to draw the branches. And for each of the branches, I want to make sure that I'm using a 45-degree angle. And that's one of the reasons I wanted the graph paper cells on, because if I follow along the graph paper, I can make sure that I'm intersecting these graph paper intersections as I do that. So this is the bottom leaf. And for the next one, I'm going to go in one graph paper cell on both the left and the right and draw a vertical line, and then I'm going to use 3 graph paper segments to draw my 45-degree angle. And so I'm just going to repeat that process. Every one that I do, I go in one more graph paper cell from the previous one with 2 vertical lines, and then I will draw my 45-degree diagonal lines, and I will continue that process as I complete this block. Now once I get to the tree top, I need to go ahead and put a star on the top, and I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to use the zoom button to do that. And for the bottom of the star, I'm going to center that right on top of the tree. And then I'm going to go to the 4 inches on the ruler and draw a vertical line, and I'm going to do the same at 6 inches. And at the 1/2 inch on the left ruler, I'm going to draw a horizontal line, and I will draw vertical lines both at 4.5 and 5.5 inches as well. Now I'm going to draw flying geese units for the 2 sides and the top of this unit. Once I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and turn the graph paper cells off, do a full view, and just take a look and make sure my block is looking good. And then I will go to the color tab, and I will color this. I used some Christmas fabrics from Stash, a collection from Hoffman. You can use any fabrics that you would like to color your Christmas tree. And I will add to the project sketchbook. Then I'm going to go back to the home screen and select Design a Quilt from Scratch. And I will do a new quilt horizontal, and I will go to the Layout tab, and I'm going to change the number of blocks to 1 by 1 and the size to 40 by 60. This is the same proportion as the original block. However, EQ is not letting me insert a height greater than 48 inches. To fix this, I'm going to select the work table options, and I'm going to go to Layouts All Style. Under there's a block options, and one of the options is the maximum size of blocks. And I'm going to go ahead and change that to 60 and select OK. Now in the layout, I can change this to 60 inches. And then I'm going to go to the Border tab, and I'm going to have a 1-inch border, and then I will add and have a 4-inch border all the way around. Now I can go to the Design tab and do a Set block. And I'm going to take the tree block and set it in the main square. And then I'm going to go to my fabric tools and go ahead and color the borders. And I will add this to the project sketchbook. Now that I've got the base of my tree done, I need to add ornaments. So I'm going to go to the block tools, and I decided to use the EQ default variable star. So I'm going to go to layer 2 and drag that onto the workspace. And if I look at it with my adjust tool, it is at 4 by 4, which is the size that I want to work with. I'm going to make sure that I have the snap block position to grid on, and I'm going to start by setting that at 1 inches. Now I'm going to visually place 5 blocks across this bottom row. And so once I've got the first one done, I can do a copy, and I'm going to just do 4 pastes. And I'm going to try and stagger these so that they are equal distances apart. Then I will repeat the process with 5 on the next row, and going up 4 on the row above that, and then 3 on the next 2 rows, 2 on the next row, and 1 on the last 2 rows. And I decided to put 1 in the middle of the star. Now I could have put 2 in this row and not put 1 in the star. That is really up to you. Once I do that, I'm going to go to the Fabric tab, and I can use the eyedropper on layer 1 to find my tree fabric. And then I'm going to go back to layer 2 and use the swap color. And I'll just zoom in a little bit to make this a little bit easier. And I'm going to click on a couple of those fabrics, which will blend the blocks into the tree. And I will finish coloring the quilt per my master diagram. Then what I want to do is put numbers on each of these blocks so I know which one to swap out each day. So I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to zoom in, and I am on layer 2. I'm going to go to the text tools, and I'm going to select Set Text, and I am going to select Arial, and if this block is 4 inches, half of that would be 2 inches. So I'm going to set the approximate size in inches to 2. And then I am going to, under Set Text, use the Shift key on my keyboard to drag a box. And I'm going to start with 25. And I'm trying to decide, I can make that bold, and then with the adjust tool I'm going to do some copy and a few pastes. Now I can take this, and when I put it here, first of all I have to change the font, but it also is a little bit big. So I can make it smaller by dragging a corner, which will shrink it, and I can also use the arrows to move that just a little bit over and back. Now let me go ahead and go to the fabric tools, and I'm just going to color that so that 25 is more visible. Now back to the block tools, and I am going to take that next 25, and with the text tools I'm going to make sure I'm on set text, click on just to the right of the number, backspace, and change that to a 24. I will also change the next two as well. Now I can use the adjust tool, select my block, reduce the size, and roughly put it in position, and then use the arrows for the x-axis to fine-tune the positioning. And so I will finish that for the rest of this quilt. Once I have everything positioned, I will go ahead and select Add to Project Sketchbook. Every day we will now replace one of our numbered blocks with an original design. And I'm going to zoom in, and I'm first of all going to select the number and select Delete. Then I'm going to create my replacement block, and once I've done that I'm going to do Set Block, and I'm going to select the block and make sure you're on layer 2 and click the star block, and it will replace it. And I've been doing the debate on whether I'm going to put a block in or a motif, and if I do a motif I could either do that or do that with a green background so it will blend in. And so I will change that each day and select Add to Project Sketchbook. And by the end of Advent, you will have a tree with 25 original ornaments on it. Would you like to receive the daily challenges from now until December 25th? If so, there is a link on my related blog post that you can use to sign up to get an email for each of these 25 days.